Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, and we'll be talking about Virgo. Well, Mars in Virgo today. We're here with Thornwea Davis, who's our Friday afternoon person. So today we're focusing on Mars in Virgo through all of the houses, right? Yes. Okay. So do you want to start by discussing Mars in Virgo generally? I have a Virgo AF shirt on, just so you know. Oh, nice shirt. Yeah, yeah. So, what about Mars in Virgo in general? What do we think about that? Generally speaking, I would look at that Mars because Mars wants to do stuff. It's an action-oriented sign. It's motivated to do stuff. And in Virgo, it's an earth sign. So it'd be focusing on details and how to do, organize things and how to structure things and how to make it look good, and feel good and it'd be useful. And so that, with Mars, I can imagine some kind of focus in on plants, herbs, or making medicines or some kind of projects because Virgo likes to do projects. It's very doing and active. And so something with herbs and plants, like I just said, or the garden, planting a garden outside or inside, either, or other things like that. Uh, but the action itself is any kind of action that relates to health, perhaps yoga, Pilates, all these kinds of things. So that's my general outlook on that. And also with Virgo, it's bodily. It's the intestine. Oh, in the bodily system, it's the gut or the intestines. So, how can we digest and detox and clean out and purify and that kind of thing. So that's what I would suggest. Okay, what do you want to add with that? Okay, that's all good. Let's see, what else? I would say Mars, I always think of Virgo in the body as this side chakra. It's like right here, and it feeds that in intestines and the pancreas and the gut, like you're saying. And so it kind of fires up our kind of particular, like kind of picky, Mars in Virgo, when it inflames the gut, it's like people can feel exactly what they ate and, how they're digesting things. So I think there can be an obsession with, like health, like you're saying, like non-GMO foods and, like you're saying, clean and purify. So like eating organic, for exercise, it's like think of crunches, like crunches, because it's like exercising that middle earth part of the body. People who have Mars and Virgo are often very fit. They do things like CrossFit, where they're working out the whole body. They're kind of into fitness in general. So there could be like a general fitness vibe. Um, I think, around the house, we're going to see people cleaning up, you know, um, you know, using up all of the stuff they've been buying with Mars and Leo. It's like using the clothes they've been buying, using the art supplies they've been buying. It's like using up and kind of cleaning out that their space, So it's a good time to like purge of extra things and clear clutter. It'd be a good time to study like Marie Kondo. Is that her name? That Marie Kondo, yes. She's that cleaning person, the condo system. Yeah. So like I remember I read this book on clearing your clutter, but also doing a cleanse or a fast at the same time because you're clearing out the clutter from the system. So like you were saying, like it's a good time for fasting or cleansing, detox. The master cleanser. Do you know that system? Yeah, I'm familiar with that, but it's not my thing. But to each his own. Like if you want to do that, do it. So let's look at the Virgo room. Hold on. Yes. Okay. So the Virgo room, it's very soothing, very and mechanical, so it's a good time to do mechanical work, like fix your car, get your oil changed, um, do the mechanical parts of stuff. Yeah, check out, yeah, errands, do errands and check off things and, check out things like, yeah, like if you were an architectural drafter, it'd be a good time to make some blueprints and drawings and like technical drawings. And if you're an astrologer, it'd be a good time to make some technical drawings of charts or body drawings of charts or diagrams or things like that. That Virgo room reminds me of the calm, very simple, not complicated. It's a simple, but it kind of reminds me of a mixture of uh a yoga room, mechanical room, it's a spa room, it's all at the same time. So it's just a different texture about all those, mixing together. It's nice. Yeah, it's very clean. Like I think of doctor's offices, very clean line Virgo places, with the squares and bandages and squares and like it's just like very Virgo clean spaces. I like Zen clean space. So it's time to clean up your space to make it more zen and, purge stuff. And also, uh, with the solstice, the sun, overlaying that you can clean up, but also remember that some warmth, with that sun energy coming in. So that would be nice to have that balance. Okay, great. So now do you want to start working through the 12 houses with Mars? So look at your birth chart and notice which house Virgo's on. And we're going to notice Mars going through that house for the next 6 weeks. So, what does that Mars and Virgo energy focus on in that house? Okay. So you want to start with the first house? Yes. For sure. So if it's the first house, that would be the self. So if there's Mars in Virgo is translating through your first house, uh, it could look like something, there's gives fire to self analysis, your personhood, how you show up in the world, fixing and cleaning up your body and your style and your appearance, or how to connect with yourself. Because Mars wants to do something, active or action based. So Virgo wants to look kind of put together. Uh, um, so it's similar to Libra, but it's still a little bit different. It's just an expression from Virgo to Libra. Libra is more artistic and beautiful and focused, and Virgo's more bodily, and fit and, good in that way. So, yeah, okay. Well, just to add, if you're a Virgo rising, then it means you're kind of into all of those Virgo things like fitness, cleansing, fasting, health, because you have sensitive intestines anyways. So it's like it's time for you to kind of clean up that area of your body and your life. So it's time for you to be very Virgo and be kind of active about it, So, do those technical things, the mechanical things, fixing of things, computer programming things, all of that Virgo technical stuff in a very aggressive way. Um, so, and also maybe, making lists and checking off lists for different projects, and making sure that you know where each thing is, kind of thing I could add to that. Yes, nice. Mhm. Okay, so do you want to do the second house? Okay. Um, so the second house is related to resources and how resources and focus on the self and others, general resources, money, all of that kind of second house stuff. So the Mars and Virgo transiting there, with the second house, it could have a spark to focus on with trying to figure out and, planning your finances, or maybe bank loans, or backup projects, or maybe needing to invest for the long-term goals in your projects and all those kinds of things, all those motivations for different plans in the future, feeling more stable with money or resources, or networking with the community and self relationships. And that would be a big focus for Mars triggering that second house. So you want to add anything? Yes, for this chart, it's a Leo rising. So they're very fun people in general. But when it comes to money, they can be very litigious. Having a ledger is very good, or keeping track of what you're spending. One of my friends who's a Leo rising has Virgo on the second house, and she writes down, like, she has this little list of everything she spent, and it's a very Virgo list. And so keeping, a budget with, envelopes where you have money in envelopes for different things, or, with Mars going through the second house, it's just a nice time to clean up your finances. So, make sure that, there's no extra bills, or you don't have any extra subscriptions, or, so just cleaning up and kind of editing and getting rid of any expenses that you don't want. So, you know, and if anyone owes you money, you could clean up that relationship, kind of ask them for that money, or, it's a time to be kind of fierce about money and the resources, to like go after money, ask for a raise if you're being brave or you deserve one, but be like technical and particular about your money. Where is it going? To what subscriptions? To what bills? All these things. And then, you know, clean out your wallets. I mean, yeah. And also, just to add to that, not only where the money is going, but also we could figure out where the balance is with the return of interest, or ROI kind of questions of where money's coming back to me. Where is it going out, where it's coming back in both ways. And also, it's not only if there's something like someone owes you money, it's also like how to fix and save the trouble of it happening again, to fix that situation. So, planning for that, and how to repair and keep that cycle, repentant from happening repeatedly. You don't want it to be a pattern or a habit, and how to, just the small things you can add up to big things, and um, how to, troubleshoot, uh, you know, the managing that in a better way and more holistic, for the self and for others both. So, yeah. And another perspective on that second house is if you have a business, because second house can be buying and selling of things. So it's like commerce, so if you have inventory, you can clean up your inventory, clean up the items you have for sale, make sure the packaging is nice, make sure that your display is nice, so you kind of clean up your stuff that you have to buy and sell. Yes, for sure. And not only that, but also it's a good time to see if you want to, uh, if you feel like you're kind of done with certain things, like how to get rid of that batch, or finish with that batch, and then, you know, remove, re-envision how a new space, different, different, a different perception of, with the self and your branding and things like that. Okay, cool. You want to do the third house? Yes, sure. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, so the third house would be is related to communication and technology in your local neighborhood, your favorite community store, your favorite place to go, and also related with siblings and your lower remedial education, kind of, those are all third house things. So with Mars and Virgo translating through your third house, it could spark that kind of nostalgic looking back. I've learned something from when I was small, and kind of revisiting that habit, or, making, visiting your elementary school or something related to your background or your school growing up. And maybe you could try to see how to heal, if you have trauma, related to that. So, how can I heal this? And Mars is good for that because it can, activate, it can be very active and say, how can I use this energy to heal, to do something different now that I'm older, or something related to, reparenting the self or reparenting the community, how to improve that connection. Yeah, so okay. Okay, it'd be a great time. This is a Cancer rising chart. So these are very homey people, very mothering kind of people. So this is great for making lists. Like I've seen Cancer rising do self-help work with Virgo on the third. So they like reading self-help books and like making lists of, things to do. You could read books about declutter, how to clean your environment. Makes me think of Byron Katie's work of just like the self-improvement kind of books of, cleanse your soul, cleanse your personhood, all that kind of stuff. So then, I've seen people write letters to siblings, with Mars going through the third house, of just like taking an active, involvement in writing letters or communication or writing emails or cards, or, sending out cards for, thank you cards, or hello, I miss you cards, or something. Do like a batch of cards sending out, because it's good for communication. And, Mars going through there is like an active form of communication. Um, you know, uh, I'm trying to think of other, like in your local neighborhood, it would be good to do cleanup crew, in your local neighborhood, like neighborhood cleanup something, or like here in Portland, we have one nonprofit called the Friends of Trees. That's a kind of a cleanup with the flowers and the trees and everything like that, how to make the community look more beautiful and, more, you know, clean. That's part of the third house. Yeah, you could walk around your community picking up trash. I mean, you could go cleaning out the community in any different ways. You could go into your local neighborhood and write in your journal. That's very third house, is to like write in a journal and like clean out yourself and just purge your emotions through a journal, something like that. Yeah, and also therapy, talking with a therapist, and coming together, combining that with writing, that would be a good balance. Because Virgo also is with that Mercury, so it's a good to have that balance. Yeah, nice. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, Mars in 4. So, do you want me to start? Sure. Okay. So Virgo on the fourth house is a Gemini rising. Okay. So this would be cleaning up the home environment, your room. It's time for a deep clean of your bedroom, of your house, clean the floors, clean the yard, and the garden, weed the garden. If you have a wardrobe, clean your clutter in your wardrobe, clean the cat boxes, very well. If you have art supplies, clean out your art supplies, use up like inventory, or, just clean your space, your home. You could also clean things with your family lineage, if there's anything that you need to clean out from, your family of origin, any problems that have happened, clean those up. Any relationships that have sticky stuff, clean that up. Um, but it's literally the actual home where you live. It's like cleaning it up, you know. And not only that, but also repairing things, like your yard, outside with your yard or inside, with your plants and herbs and garden and things like that. Whatever those are, maybe there's somehow you could clean up and repair those things and they can grow more healthy. And also your yard. There's compost and how to make, a better system for that and, the water hose and all those different things like that. The inside and outside both. Yeah. Makes me think of like your kitchen dishes. You could clean out the ones you don't like or that are broken, and then you could like buy new nice dishes sets or something like that. I want to go back to Virgo on the third house. Um, Clean your car. That's very third house is like, cars and driving, so maybe like clean your car, get a car wash, that would be for the Cancer rising chart. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, for sure. A detailing the car. Yeah, that makes sense. Virgo on the third. Yeah. So, but the fourth also with the if some the dishes there's some are older, cracked, you could make art with that instead of, getting rid of it. You could actually make some art and make the space more beautiful. That's a Virgo, can use things or, the things that are useful, art, made that way. Nice. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it for Virgo on four. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm good with that. Okay, so Virgo on five. Okay, so five would be related to creativity and generative energy. Um, so Virgo, Mars going through the fifth, it could be focused on art projects or any kind of creative project. But you want to make it very specific and fine-tuned, how the detail work happens there so that everything can kind of look nice and it can feel good with that kind of precise element, not only shiny, but feeling like, it's fine-tuned and it's perfect. It's not needing to all be perfect, but it can be perfect in a good way. And then you could feel really satisfied with it and feel in that way, you know. So that's the Taurus rising chart. It has Virgo on the fifth house. Not to tell a story, my dad has Taurus rising and he has Jupiter in Virgo in the fifth house. He told me I could talk about his chart. So for many years, he has built a train set. Like he has a big train set and it's huge. Now it's in the like apartment complex they live in. They have a room for the train set. But it's that very fine-tuned dollhouse kind of miniature kind of art where it's like model building or like, so for the Virgo on five people, maybe the kind of art you might gravitate towards is like model cars or making dollhouse mini things or building something kind of mechanical like assembling something or making models. Room boxes are like dollhouse kits, or like little kits and fun art project things. Fifth house makes me think of the nightlife, what you do after dinner until you go to bed, so it's like that nightlife thing. So maybe, doing kits and art projects and macrame and, more buildy kind of art, that feels very Virgo to me. Yeah, it could also be like that reminds me of puzzles. Doing puzzles, could be other things because it's very technical and how to, put them together in different small parts and pieces and, building. So that could be fun. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, any buildy yeah, puzzles is a great one, you know. Yeah, and also it reminds me of kits like with the miniatures, the houses and stuff like that, it's definitely for sure because it involves a lot of detail work. And it makes me think when I was small, that I loved the Victorian houses. They're with how they put everything together and the details. It's beautiful. Yeah. And I just went to the store the other day and got a mini from D&D. It's very like Mars and Virgo. It's just like a mini and I'm starting to paint it. So it's like maybe the Virgo on the 5th could do like miniature D&D or like uh train sets, yes. Or what do you call that? It's terrain in D&D. It's like terrain. It's like building the actual area. Yeah, yeah, with the glass and the terrarium. You're thinking, yeah, I'm thinking terrain in D&D is like building the landscape, but terrarium would be very Virgo in the 5th house too. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Okay, so Virgo on 6. Okay, yes. 6, that's like Andy's saying 5, and then 6 would be in the evening. What do you do after dinner? That's 5 before you go to bed. So 6 that's for me is like when it feels like when the sun kind of sets, the sun goes down. So it's like, and also 6 is focused on the health, and fitness and taking care of yourself and home and taking care of, that's where the natural ruler is in Virgo there. So it's naturally ruled there. So also animals are there. So if you have animals or friends, they'll find them in your 6th house, animal friends. So for walking after dinner, that's very active. If Mars is in Virgo hits the 6th, then maybe it could be something with reorganizing or making sure that everything feels nice and it's just very clean and relaxed before bed, or sitting down and setting up, just a relaxing corner where you can relax with the plants or with the candle, a small spa or, a small book nook or something like that with it's just you can relax like a sanctuary, you know. Yeah, yeah, okay. It feels like Mars, wants to do that, but also it can be more softer, feeling than being super active. It's more softer to that doing, Do you think of Virgo as the Hermit card in tarot? That's a good question, because in some ways it could be viewed as the hermit. But also I do sometimes view, well, let's see, what other card? The High Priestess can be very Virgo. Sometimes it kind of depends, so it depends on the vibe, but I guess I can see where both could have the quality of Virgo. Because the hermit is very isolated. It goes in and stays at home. It's very private and kind of independent. And the high priestess is very focused with the space to make sure it's sacred and feels, calming. So, it's service oriented. So, yeah, I think it could be either. Yeah, it's different ways. Okay, nice. So I think of Virgo on the 6th house as focusing on health. Like you're saying, it's natural. Virgo's the natural home of the 6th. That's an Aries rising chart. So it's like Virgo on 6. It's like the pure energy of the 6th house, which to me is health, fitness, like you're saying, your everyday rituals and schedule. So like when do you walk the dog? When do you work out? When do you read and journal, or so it's like getting kind of aggressive about your daily schedule and how you schedule working out and taking care of yourself, and also cleaning out. I think this is a very cleansing detox kind of Mars and Virgo, because it's like cleaning out the system and being health focused, and going to the doctor for your yearly checkup and your physical, and all of that is very Virgo on 6. And also to add with that, maybe not only medical focus, but maybe also related to wellness, making appointments for the body, for body work and massage, or going to see the psychologist, the mental health practitioner. So it could be any kind of wellness, not only physical, but it could be all mind, body, spiritual things. So yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay. And the health of the pets, like bringing them to the vet and, making sure that they're cleaned and getting them groomed, getting your pets, yeah, their fingernails cut and everything like that. Yeah, yeah. So, okay. One sec. Okay. So Virgo on the seventh house. Do you want me to start? Sure. So this is a Pisces rising chart. So this is looking to the partner, the partner. Because the Pisces rising person is looking for a Virgo type partner, somebody to help them with the detail work. And because the Pisces rising is kind of, spiritual and kind of arty, they're looking for a Virgo kind of person to help them with the details and the practical things of life, So this might look like doing the work with your partner, studying some relationship books, cleaning up the relationship itself, if there are any resentments that you're harboring, you could clean those out, or uh, you know, just doing the work in partnership. It could also be work relationships. So you're doing, you're trying to improve your work relationships in general, because that's like Virgo on seven would be work relationships. So if you have a work partnership with somebody, you could clean up that area, do the work there. Also, it could improve, how to communicate, how to play with the different styles of connection, and relationship. And if, there's a personal relationship or an intimate relationship, it could be like, okay, what can really nurture and help grow this? Because Virgo wants to build, so we have to have a framework there and how to be strong with that building. So, in business work and partnership, it could be maybe focusing on the nuts and bolts of how that um, partnership is led and the roles and how it can grow and benefit from both. Uh, so, and also generally any kind of maintenance, any relationship wise, it could be family or community, it could be any seventh house relationship uh there. Okay, yeah. Nice. Okay. Mars in Virgo on the eighth house. Sure. Yes. So the eighth house is the other. If we think about the opposite pair, we have uh the second and the eighth, right? Yeah. The second and the eighth. Okay, so if we have the eighth is the other, their things, and the second house is my things, like our actual things, uh, how we are related with our things, and the eighth house is how we, receive our relationship with others' things. So if Mars in Virgo hits in the eighth house, it could look like, active, like if you need to get a loan or you need to have, a conversation with an investor, or, have something that has a great skills, you could, call on somebody, you could say, how can we have a relationship with this and invest together, and how to build, because that's Virgo's building. So Mars is kind of active in that, building that seed of how it could grow in that way. So, and also not only the relationship wise with the community, and 8 with the resources, but also it could be unexpected money coming in, or it could be a surprise of, it could be taxes or a surprise of money coming back from taxes. Um, a person who's died in the family was surprised and there's a legacy that they got. So those are several things related to the eighth house. So what do you think? Yeah, it's like other people's resources. So it'd be a great time to go out and kind of actively look at other people's resources. So you could go to estate sales or, places where other people's resources are available to you, and you could kind of collect some practical, useful stuff from other people. Um, yeah, it's a good time, similar to Virgo on 2. It's a good time to get your money in order too, because it's like money you share with the partner, So if you two have joint finances, then how can you clean up that situation and make sure everyone's satisfied and feels clean about that relationship? Um, yeah, I mean, I think in a more spiritual sense, it could be, cleaning up your relationship with life and death, because eighth house can be death, So, looking at, how you view death, like your will, you could clean up your will or write a power of attorney paperwork or, do any of the work around death and resources. So make a will, do any of that stuff. And also to add with that, it's not only the legal tendency of the paperwork, but also it could be, looking at how to, deal with the emotional, mental space related to that, to the grieving, and how would I grieve? How does that relationship work or not work? And how does that, repair happen and growth happen and so that you could feel satisfied overall. Nice. Okay, Mars and do you want to jump to 9? Yes. Okay, do you want to lead with that one? Sure. So Mars and Virgo in the ninth house. This is a Capricorn rising chart. So Virgo on the ninth house would be, dealing with studying, religion, philosophy, big topics. Going traveling for work is very Virgo on 9. Ninth house is travel, but Virgo there makes it a work related thing sometimes or more practical related thing. So traveling to get a new car or traveling to study something that relates to your job or traveling for a conference or a class. You could also take a class in general and really study, aggressively study something you want to learn. It could be something mechanical, like learning how to fix things, or it could be something very spiritual, more like yoga is very like Virgo on 9. You could study the yogas, which is like, or like something very fancy, like spiritual, practical, like the Yavana Jataka, or like different old spiritual texts. You could go to church and study philosophy or religion in a practical way or a spiritual way. It's really self-development, so be taking a more aggressive perspective on self-development. And not only self-development, but also it could be skill sharing. It could be, trading back and forth. Like I learned this skill, how can I invest and, share that? And then in the second, how can you learn from me and I can learn from you? And so, adding to that for research or adding to that for continued studies and development. Yeah, I think going to school, teaching a class, taking a class is very Mars on 9. Um, but also travel, we have 6 weeks with Mars there. So travel for some, practical reason, I mean, Virgo's a kind of detail-oriented, mechanical, practical sign. It's not like a frivolous trip. It's just like traveling for making or doing something. Yeah, that makes me think of like it could it doesn't need to be a long trip. It could be a very short trip. But it could be to the library or to a museum with archives, you know, research archives, or it could be something like a different area like that, a goal or project to get that satisfied with, skills and things like that. So, yeah, that's very Virgo. It likes to find information and then it likes to find answers to things. So it likes to have that a formula of connecting all the dots and kind of thing. So also it could be a method that you study, like the scientific method or other technology things like that. So it could be that. Yeah, it could be a language class. You take up an ASL class for 6 weeks, or um, you can watch YouTube videos how to do something. You know that show How It's Made? Have you seen that show? Like, no, no, I haven't seen that, but it makes me think of that show. Yeah, so. Okay. DIY projects? Yes, for sure. Like crocheting or knitting or cross stitch or all those different small project kind of DIY. You'd be starting there and you could improve your confidence and build to bigger projects. Yeah, it's for sure the learning part of it. It's like if Virgo's going through your fifth house, you might be doing the art, but in the ninth house, you might be picking up or learning the art. It's the learning mechanical part of it. Yeah. All right. Okay. Virgo, Mars in 10. You start? Sure. So the 10th house is related to the career and work and money and income. And so the professional life. Um, and if you don't have a job yourself, maybe it's not related to work uh as a job, but it could be related to the community work. It could be some kind of work that you feel passionate about or motivated for service. It could be related to service because it's a Virgo does like to do service. And its role is to be, thrives with how can I serve you? How can I help you? So that's Virgo. So in the 10th house, it could be about how can I show up with the world in a good way and be of service? Or how can this job give an opportunity for me to serve and feel good with this in this space? Um, so yeah, what do you think? Well, so this is the Sag rising chart, and it's funny because they're a very freedom-loving chart, but in career, they're often very mechanical. I've seen many like stagehand people be Sag rising, or doing technical work like like technical photography, or so there's a lot of cleaning up in the work, like doing practical like set building or photo editing or so it's time to really do a lot of work like in your career. So if you're a stagehand, go ahead and pick up a lot of jobs. If you're a photographer, pick up a lot of jobs and do a lot of editing. So it is, and if you're trying to build your job, many Sag risings are freelancers, it's like build your career through marketing and it's time for a career push. So to really like get stubborn and kind of work through on your career through marketing and like sending out like what's called leave behind. It's like a card that you like send out. Yeah, it's like cards and things like that. Brochures, send headshots. Oh, headshots. Yeah, yeah, you could do headshots or business cards or things like that. Branding stuff, things like that. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, it's a good time to just buckle buckle down and just work on work, um, for sure. And yeah, it's okay to be very practical in your career. That's the Sag rising chart. So, and also with the 10th house, it doesn't necessarily have to only be focusing with work and money. It can be also about the process of it, of the relationship of those things of how is that framework, is it successful, or how does that is it suitable? If it's not, then okay, how can we repair that and how can we reset to feel better, with that? So that's okay. Okay, wonderful. So Virgo on 11. Yes. 11. Okay, 11. That is networking, friends, community, what you like to do after work for fun, for enjoyment. It can also be volunteer work. Find it can be found in the 11th house. It can be your best friend. It can be your favorite drag show that you go to. It can be all these different things for the 11th house. So if it's Mars in Virgo, hits in the 11th, maybe it could look like, Mars, like what to do. It could be like going to all the different fun places. Um, at the same time, it's like how to work in a good way that feels practical, and how to, for example, if I have a choice to go to this event, it's like, why did I go to that event? How can it be useful to me and how can it be useful to the community? It's, actively thinking about things related to that process and, how to have fun, so yeah. So what do you want to add with that? So that's the Scorpio rising chart, and they have Virgo on 11, which is like work groups. Like often many Scorpio risings are entrepreneurs. They have Leo on the 10th house, so they're very much like on their own path for career. So a lot of what the 11th house Virgo does is they do like work groups, or they go out with people from work, after work, and like have drinks, or, happy hour after work kind of thing. So it's like building relationships in the community with friends that are from work, or they're practical and useful relationships that apply to the work life. It could be doing work with friends. So it could be setting up projects with friends, or, you know, yeah, like building, it could be doing the work with friends, like going to workshops with a friend, or you know, it's like work plus friendship or work plus community. You could be on a board or a committee. A committee is very like Virgo on 11. Yeah. And it could also be studying a study group. Like there could be a group of friends that you study in school, and then after class, and you go and you meet for this study group and study together and research together, and you take all those notes. And also you could be a nonprofit. You could be meeting there, and how to uplift and build the community there, and then go out in the community and do something with that community advocacy work. Yeah. It can also be health related groups. Like I've seen, like health or wellness community events, so you could go out to like clean food events, or clean living events, get your blood pressure checked, whatever, for sure. And also like health fairs. Yeah. And I remember the beginning of COVID, the first few years there, they had different small health fairs, for health and safety and awareness and how to support and share with the community, get your shots and get your resources and things like that. That was the 11th. So that's a strong function with that. Yeah. Yes. Cool. So now We're on to the 12th house. Okay, do you want to start with the 12th house? Sure, that's the Libra rising chart. So they're very relationship oriented people, but the Virgo in the 12th house is where you like look back and you're like, oh, I have to clean up this and that. So it's like a very spiritually cleansing house. It's a good time to ask the universe or ask for God's assistance in cleaning up your psyche, so your psyche, cleaning up resentments or any feelings of guilt or any shame or any hard feelings, cleaning up those seems like a good idea to me with Virgo, Mars and Virgo in the 12th. Some people in a negative way would say Mars in the 12th is like secret anger, secret enemies. And it's like, no, no, no. Just use that to aggressively commune with God or universe to clean up any anger, to clean up any resentments. So do the work of cleaning the psyche with a journal or prayer or going to a mosque or, I'm here in Portland, there's the grotto. It makes me think of like going to the grotto. It's like this very clean spiritual place, going to church, sitting with God, that kind of thing. And also to add to that, it could be like if you don't want to be in town, you could go to a nature area, like a meditation retreat, a meditation, or go to yoga retreat, or any kind of wellness kind of feeding the spirit kind of thing. You could go to a meditation thing for a few days for the weekend, or it could be a month, or that I know in India, in they have they have ashrams all over, and you can go, for a year and do work there and learn how to serve and how to, connect and, at their, practicing their path. And, I think the 12th is related to faith and how to do spiritual wellness. So yeah, and also not only that, but it could be related to ancestors and keeping an altar and how to relate with their ancestors or, you know, cherish people who have died and honor and cherish that, and set up things or maybe go to a cemetery and clean up their headstone or clean up headstones and refresh things. So yeah, yeah, and another yeah, yeah, I know someone very well who has the moon in Virgo in the 12th house, and he's a yogi, and he does a lot of meditations and mantras, and he has an altar that's huge. And so I think you're right. It's like cleaning up your altar, cleaning up your, doing mantras or meditation, kind of practices is very Virgo on 12. Yes. So for sure with that framework. And also if you notice that something is not working out with that path work or the ritual, then another thing would be to fix, a repair or and try a different approach. Do you know the word puja? Yes, I'm very familiar. What's a puja? A puja it's a specific kind of ritual for specific types of deities and to make an offering to that deity on a specific day and a specific holiday and a specific offering with food and please bless this and kind of thing and please help you may do this or that, or so there's specific types of things. So yeah, I think it's a great time for pujas and, for the Virgo on 12 people, you know, burning incense to gods, waving around the incense ball or whatever, so yeah, and also not only incense, but it could be, a charcoal and you put the thing and the powder in there and it kind of comes up there. Yeah. Well, that was a great discussion. I think that's a very useful chat for people because Mars will be in Virgo for 6 weeks, so people can watch this video and pick up tips of what to do with that energy. Yes. And also, oh, it's always good to double check, not only the birth chart, but also the transit, so you can make sure there's two different perspectives of how to work with both of those. Yeah, notice is that Mars and Virgo going over any planets in your birth chart. Do you have anything in Virgo in that? And so what's that transit and what would that bring? All right, thank you. Well, thank you so much, Thorn. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Andy. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week with Dana Walls again. Yes. All right. That will be fun. All right. I love you. I'll see you later. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.